All right, folks, I am Becky with Becky's Self Journey, and I want to take a minute to introduce myself again. I know it's been a while since I've done about me, so I thought it would be good to do that. I have two dogs, Jackson here. Daisy is the little dog. And we've had Daisy since middle of February. She's about 8 months now. And Jackson, I adopted him in 2020, and he's been my dog since then. He was already an adult by the time I adopted him. I wrote out a little bit about me because, words are hard. And so this is what I will share. I used to be in the military. I was a military police officer and responded to emergency calls and routine calls and that type of thing. I was a sergeant when I got out, had soldiers underneath me, and was running the arms room, which was essentially all the ammunition, the weaponry, the tools, the thermal sights, all those things. That was what I was running when I got out of the military for my last year. When I joined the military, I joined in October of 2011, and I weighed about 115 pounds, so nothing too crazy there. I'm 5'2.5", so per Army standards, I'm 5 feet 3 inches, and I was pretty small. I was one of the smallest folks on my team and in my platoon. I got out of the Army in May of 2017, and by that time I weighed 150 pounds. I did my last tour in Germany, spent 2 years there, and let me tell you, you can put on some weight very easily there if you're not careful. I had some injuries while I was in. The last one was my knee. I tore my meniscus and was working through that in physical therapy and wasn't able to do a whole lot as far as cardio and training, and so by the end I was just putting on weight. So I got out spring of 2017. I started at Boise State University in Boise, Idaho in fall of 2017, walked onto their rugby team, the women's rugby team, and played there. And so by the spring of 2018, I put on another 20 pounds, and I weighed 170 pounds then, and was still playing rugby and doing pretty good there. Spring of 2019, I knew that I was struggling with my weight at that point, and I decided that I was going to do the Baton Memorial Death March on spring break. And so on top of rugby, I was training for that, which is a full marathon ruck in the mountains of New Mexico, which was quite an interesting experience. By the time I graduated from Boise State with my bachelor's in 2019, it was pretty heavy. Got a job, an internship during the summer, and kept working there, and quite stressful and definitely not the greatest for my mental health, but I learned a whole lot. And by spring of 2020, just before COVID hit, I weighed in at 220 pounds. So from spring of 2018 to 2020, I had gained 50 pounds, which is a lot in 2 years. Definitely a lot of things going on there. By the next fall, October 2020, when I kind of locked in, I knew that I needed to do some changes. I essentially transitioned from corporate world into trying to start my own business and running that, and I really locked in on myself. And so from October 2021 until February 2022, I went from 220 pounds-ish to 193. So I lost about 23 pounds in a short period of time. Was not able to maintain that. Life is stressful. I wasn't quite equipped to do what I needed to do there, and started gaining weight again. And so by May of 2023, I was back up to 206 pounds. So I know that's only 9 pounds up from where I was, but those are, you're not supposed to lose or gain that much weight in that period of time. By start of 2024, I was back up to 218 pounds. So I had gained another 10 pounds there, 12 pounds actually, in another year. So starting 2024, I knew that I needed to really make a lifestyle change, and it wasn't just, a one-time thing. So I decided to train for my first triathlon. I wanted to do an Olympic distance for many, many years, and so I decided that 2024 was the year. I got registered for it and was all set to go. Started training essentially in December, but So January, the triathlon was set for the end of July. During that time, I met my wife, and it's really hard to lose weight and train for distance at the same time because you have to eat carbs and calories to be able to do the training. And that's the excuse that I made anyways. And so I lost just shy of 5 pounds in those 8 months, and I completed my first Olympic triathlon in July of 2024. It took me 4 hours and 32 minutes to do that. Then life happened, kept going with my now wife. We got engaged. We started planning, our life together. So January 1st, 2025, here I am again, weighing in at 232.4 pounds. So even heavier than where I was before. We're talking about a 12 and a half pound bump from my highest. And my wife and I decided that we were going to do that same triathlon again together. Well, planning a wedding, moving in together, getting all those things set up and prepared, stressful. So didn't happen. I lost about 4.5 pounds again for my triathlon in about an 8-month period. So by the time I did my second triathlon with my wife, weighed in at 228 pounds, heavier than I was at my first, and we did it together in 4 hours and 43 minutes. I had the same goal for both of those triathlons, and for essentially every single time that I've tried to lose weight since I got out of the Army, and I just kept gaining more weight because I hadn't really changed anything. I just talked a lot of talk and tried intermittent fasting and cutting out a lot of calories, and it worked in the short term, and it had a lot of good effects in the short term, but it didn't fix the underlying thing. By January 1st, 2026, this year, I weighed 238.6 pounds, a new high. And then that just continued to climb. July 2026, I weighed in at 256 pounds. Now this is following 4th of July, I had cake, ice cream, all the things, so a little bit bloated there, but 256 pounds is my highest weight that I have ever had. And I really locked in. My wife and I are in agreement that we have to make changes, and we're going to make those changes together. And since July 6th, a little over a month and a half ago, I have lost quite a few pounds. I am now at 248.2 pounds, and that is on the 14th of August that I weighed in. So 256 down to 248.2 pounds in about 6 weeks. So we're doing pretty good there. So I made a little breakdown that kind of shows where I'm at and where I want to go and how I want to get there. So for reference, my highest weight, 256 in July 2026, which is crazy. My current weight is 248.2 pounds, August 14th, and my goal weight is 145 pounds. The last time I did this, I wanted to lose 55 pounds by the end of the year, which was a heavy goal. Right now, my goal is to lose 1 pound a week. That's 3,500 calories I have to cut out. That's essentially 400 calories a day that I need to burn in excess. We take a look at your BMR, your basic metabolic rate, which is how much your body burns calories just by doing nothing, just by sitting here talking to you. Right now, based off of that calculation, I'm going to be burning about 1,700 calories a day, just chilling, doing everything without any added training. My goal right now is to eat about 1,600 calories, and I'm pretty locked in there. It's a lot simpler with eating the same breakfast and the same lunch, and then only we have to worry about dinner, and that's the only typical variable there. And that has really helped me since July, locking into that. My wife's been eating similar lunches and tracking calories, and I think we're doing pretty good there. I like knowing what I'm having for breakfast and lunch because I know how much those are, and then relative how much dinner is, and so that makes it easier for me. BMR 1,700 calories, eating 1,600 calories. We're already at 100 calorie loss a day. Just on that, my metabolic rate, how much my body burns every day, will go down the more weight I lose, and it will get harder and harder, and we'll have to give for that. But if I do that and I weight lift 3 times a week, full body training right now, I might adjust that as time goes on. I want to increase my mobility, my flexibility, which I've been working on, which is going to help my overall fitness and longevity and functionality. And then walking 10,000 steps a day. I have a walking pad at work that I use quite frequently. I'm using it every day right now. I'm trying to get at least 3 miles in, which is close to 10,000 steps while I'm at work. And if I follow this regimen of eating less than I need and working out consistently and putting in that effort and those steps and trying to be active and functional, I will lose 100 pounds, which is what I need to lose. I need to lose 103.2 pounds to get my goal weight of 145 pounds. I can do that in 2 years. So August 2028, I should be at 145 pounds if I lose a pound a week on average and maintain that. So that's the goal. That's where we're at. I would love for that to be my birthday, which is the very end of July going into August, to hit my goal weight. Something that I wrote down in 2019 when I was considering quitting my job and trying to, take my own path through life, I came across something that walked me through essentially coming up with your own mission statement for life. What and who you want to be. And so I wrote down in 2019 this as my personal mission statement: to live a life with integrity, loyalty, and compassion by constantly striving to be the best version of myself and to be a positive influence on others. And so I think that I'm living that now, and I'm very happy to say that. I've done a lot of personal work. This is what I consider my health journey, my process through life. Whether anybody cares or not doesn't really matter to me. This is me. This is me documenting myself and doing something that I enjoy, which is weightlifting. I don't like running around and doing fast stuff. I like slow and steady and getting the reps in and trying to focus on the mind muscle connection, which is kind of mind blowing to think about, but is actually kind of valid. Being true to myself and who I am, and acknowledging that, I've struggled with my weight, something that I never wanted to ever go through. Here I am, 7 years later, struggling with the same weight, and not nearly as bad, but I gained 100 pounds in about 10 years. Getting out of the Army in 2017 to where we are now, about 100 pounds. So I've got my work cut out for me. The big thing that changed, I think, is I went to therapy. I've been with my therapist for a few years now. She's helped me process through a lot of different things in life and helps me navigate day to day and maintain improvement in my overall wellness and my mindset and just my baseline. And I'm at a very good spot in life right now, and I'm so happy to be able to acknowledge that and to have put in the work to get there. And it's my time. It's my time to put the effort in and not let my life pass away, float away in a way that I don't want to live it. And I don't want to be this obese version of myself. That's not my true me. That's not who I want to be. It's not who I want my kids to see or my family to see. I want to be this strong, independent version of myself that I am in certain ways, but have been limited in others. And so I am excited. Now, I want to share a quote with you guys since we're, chatting here. And this, so before I met my wife and before I was dating and all of those things, I had a birthday that was very special to me. I wanted to celebrate with people close to me, and it didn't quite happen the way that I thought it would. And it was emotional for me because I felt like I was less than because of the situation that happened. And so I went on a solo camping trip. I took Jackson. We went to a lake, a reservoir out here in Idaho, and I just spent the time doing what I wanted to do. I went in a hammock and fishing and reading in Jackson, and I hung out and ran around the campground a little bit. And while I was there, there was a mother and her son, and they were in the campsite below me. And I observed them. He wanted to play baseball. He was in high school, that age range, and his arm was struggling. He wasn't strong enough to keep throwing. And she was out there practicing with him, and she said this to him, and I wrote it down because it's so, it just, I don't know, it hit you. And essentially what she said to him was, you have to decide what kind of person you want to be every single day. You have to make the decision to get up, to do the workout, to put the work in, to eat the right foods, to not eat the junk, to get those steps in. You have to choose every single day that you are going to be that version of yourself, the one that you truly want. And you have to do it every day. And some days it's easier than others. Some days you get out of bed and you're like pumped to work out and everything is just going right for you. And some days they're really hard. And you have to decide who you want to be every single day. And that, for him, entailed working out and strengthening his muscles and actually trying to develop that skill, which is hard and it's scary because the possibility of failure is very real. And I think with weight loss, I think it's very easy for me to see, oh, all these variables played a factor into it, and that's why I didn't lose the weight. That's why I kept gaining it back. That's why it didn't stick. Well, no. Some of those factors are valid. Some of those factors played a part, but at the end of the day, I didn't make the right choices. It was far easier for me to dive into a pint of Ben & Jerry's when I was feeling depressed and lonely than it was to not. That dopamine hit from eating those sweets, those lickies and chewies is a real thing, and you can get that from social media, you can get that from alcohol, you can get that from drugs, you can get that from any type of those environments that gives you that stimulus that makes you not feel the way that you were feeling in that moment. And you got to work through it. You got to work through it. You got to do the hard work. You got to sit with yourself and figure out what you need to change and who you want to be, and make yourself a tiny bit better every single day, because that's the only way that it works. You can't change everything overnight. You'll just gain the weight right back and be upset with yourself even more. That's where we're at. I'm not starting over anymore. This is it. This is my life, and I choose to be the best version of myself, which involves losing weight and being healthier and being the best mom and wife that I can be to my spouse. So that's where we're at. And I have it on the wall, the hardest battle you will ever face is between who you are now and who you want to be. I have that on the wall, and I really like that. Couple other quotes, because we're all sappy right now, is the only thing holding me back are my own limiting beliefs. And this is something that my therapist has hit me over the head with. I can do anything I want to do if I believe in myself, and if I know that I can do what I set my mind out to do. And then the next three are ones that they just resonate really well right now. So the first one is, the truth is, unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move forward. So the old version of yourself, the one that ate all those Ben & Jerry's and all those lickies and chewies, it's done. We can do that in moderation. We can have our moments of celebration, but the everyday eating, it's done. The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. And I take that one for being present in the moment. Learning to be satisfied with the moment and not looking for the next thing. Oh, when we get done with this, it'll be better. When we do this, I'll enjoy that. When we get done with this, no. The process, that progress, those little steps every single day, that is what life is. And you have to learn to love that and just have that fill your cup, and fill your cup in other ways so that you can enjoy those moments, because Those moments might be hard in the moment, but they're the ones that you're going to look back on and remember. And then the last quote that I really like is, the fastest way to move forward in life is not doing more. It starts with stopping the behaviors holding you back. Not doing more, not taking on more and more and more, but actually stopping the behaviors that are holding you back. And I think all of those resonate with me, because the version of myself that kept restarting and kept letting myself do those behaviors over and over, even though I was training, even though I was working out, and I trained for a triathlon and the Baton Moor Death March, and heck, I was doing rugby. My underlying behaviors were what was holding me back, and I didn't want to change that, and I don't know if I could face it at that time. And I'm a different, I've leveled up in my head, I think, mentally and emotionally. I think I've leveled up since who I was then, and now I'm ready to do this the right way and to put my foot forward every day and get myself a little bit better every single day. That consistency over that, one big compliant thing. I'm at a place where I can be consistently good rather than occasionally great, which is something I also like as a quote. So being consistent, coming in every week, hitting 2 of my workouts, 3 of my workouts, getting in the strength training so that my muscles are growing, my body is moving, working on my mobility, even though it's very humbling because I have none essentially. That's all going to benefit me in the future, which is my goal. I want to be as strong and as fit as I can for as long as I can, and not have to be dependent on somebody for as long as possible, and just live my life to the fullest, be able to chase after my daughter, and run and play and swim and do all these things without my weight holding me back and the fear of being judged holding me back, which is something we all have to work on. So that's me. Gained a lot of pounds, 100 pounds, and gained 100 pounds in 10 years. Now the goal is to lose 100 pounds in 2 years. So we're on the right track. We're making those small micro wins every single day, every workout, every time I get on the treadmill, I'm thinking this is for my future me. And you guys are along for the ride. I hope that you don't judge me. It's a judgment-free zone, remember, learning this stuff together. And I hope that maybe me, by sharing my experience, helps you in some way and let you know that you're not alone trying to go through it, and that it's really, really hard. And some days you're going to win, and some days you're going to feel like you just got the crap beat out of you. And I'm going to experience those too. I already have. But you just got to keep going. And you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and focusing on being that small bit better than you were the day before, mentally, emotionally, physically. Also, you should get a dog because they're amazing. They just make me really, really happy. Really, really happy. All right. Life is good.